Ravanachari Yamunatira Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Shri Radhe. Jai Sita Ram Lakshmana Hanuman, Sita Ram Lakshmana Hanuman. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. जय श्री श्री राधा गोकुलानंद की, श्री सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान की, श्री प्रभुपाद की, गौर प्रेमानंदे. So a very warm welcome to you all to this evening's Bhagavad Gita class. We are discussing from Bhagavad Gita chapter 4. Today's text is text 16. So we will be reciting the Sanskrit. If possible, please try to recite after me. Kim karma kim akarmeti. Kim karma kim akarmeti. Kavayo apyatra mohitaah. Kavayo apyatra mohitaah. Tatte karma pravakshami. Tatte karma pravakshami. Yaj gyatva moksha se ashubhat. Yaj gyatva moksha se ashubhat. Kim karma kim akarmeti. Kavayo apyatra mohitaah. Tatte karma pravakshami. Yaj gyatva moksha se ashubhat. Would anyone like to try? Kim karma kim akarmeti. Kavayo apyatra mohitaah. Kim karma kim akarmeti. Kavayo apyatra mohitaah. Tatte karma pravakshami. Yaj gyatva moksha se ashubhat. Kim karma kim akarmeti. Kavayo apyatra mohitaah. Tatte karma pravakshami. Yaj gyatva. Thank you. Kim, what is? Karma, action. Kim, what is? Akarma, inaction. Iti, thus. Kavayaha, the intelligent. Api, also. Atra, in this matter. Mohitaha, are bewildered. Tat, that. Te, unto you. Karma, work. Pravakshami, I shall explain. Yat, which. Gyatva, knowing. Mokshase, you will be liberated. Ashubhat, from ill fortune. Translation, please listen carefully. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. So this verse is being spoken by Krishna to Arjuna. Purport. Action in Krishna consciousness has to be executed in accord with the examples of previous bona fide devotees. This is recommended in the 15th verse. Why such action should not be independent will be explained in the text to follow. To act in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow the leadership of authorized persons who are in line of disciplic succession, as explained in the beginning of this chapter. The system of Krishna consciousness was first narrated to the sun god. The sun god explained it to his son Manu. Manu explained it to his son Ikshvaku, and the system is current on this earth from that very remote time. Therefore, one has to follow in the footsteps of previous authorities in the line of disciplic succession. Otherwise, even the most intelligent men will be bewildered regarding the standard actions of Krishna consciousness. For this reason, the Lord decided to instruct Arjuna in Krishna consciousness directly. Because of the direct instruction of the Lord to Arjuna, anyone who follows in the footsteps of Arjuna is certainly not bewildered. It is said that one cannot ascertain the ways of religion simply by imperfect experimental knowledge. Actually, the principles of religion can only be laid down by the Lord Himself. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam. No one can manufacture a religious principle by imperfect speculation. One must follow in the footsteps of great authorities like Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, the Kumaras, Kapila, Prahlad, Bhishma, Shukadev Goswami, Yamaraj, Janaka and Bali Maharaj. By mental speculation, one cannot ascertain what is religion or self-realization. Therefore, out of causeless mercy to His devotees, the Lord explains directly to Arjuna what action is and what inaction is. Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence. So what we'll do now is we'll recite some prayers for auspiciousness, for invocation, and then we'll try to discuss something. Om Jnanatimirah Andhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavancha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Varan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitansha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Ripa Sindhubhya Evacha Nadita Nama Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. Hare Krishna. So a very warm welcome to you all once again to this evening's Bhagavad Gita class. Before I begin, I seek blessings from you all that I may be able to speak something relevant for your divine pleasure and for my own purification. So Bhagavad Gita is a very wonderful book. Bhagavad Gita is a book of knowledge. Knowledge in Sanskrit is called Vidya. And there are different types of Vidya which are discussed in the Upanishads. How many Upanishads are there? Anyone knows? 108. 18 Puranas are there. 108 Upanishads. So Bhagavad Gita is also one of the Upanishads. Gita Upanishad. So Bhagavad Gita is also one of those 108 Upanishads. So these Upanishads, they talk about different types of Vidya. Vidya means that knowledge which helps one transcend suffering, which frees an individual from suffering. So the knowledge which we people get at our schools or universities, that is also in one sense Vidya. Why? Because if somebody is trained at school, if somebody studies nicely at school, they can transcend the suffering of poverty. They can go in the outside world, perform, and make a living. So the knowledge obtained in universities, although it may be Jada Vidya, but it is still a type of Vidya. It helps us provide with the basic necessities of life and hence transcend the misery of poverty. And there are a total of 32 types of Vidyas, and the topmost amongst them is Brahma Vidya. Brahma Vidya means transcendental knowledge, spiritual knowledge. On the Gita Jayanti day, last month in December, we celebrated the advent of Bhagavad Gita, Gita Jayanti, the day when Bhagavad Gita was spoken. So, we tried to recite all the 700 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. So, at the end of every chapter, we were calling out, Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gita Supanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade. Su Upanishadsu, the Upanishads, they talk about different types of Vidyas, 32 types of Vidyas, and the topmost is Brahma Vidya. Su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam. And this transcendental knowledge or spiritual knowledge, it is so important that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Adhyatma Vidya Vidyayam. Amongst all types of knowledge, I am that Adhyatma Vidya, I am that spiritual knowledge. Adhyatma Vidya, Brahma Vidya is the same thing. So Krishna, he is emphasizing the importance of this transcendental knowledge in the 10th chapter. Now, Brahma Vidya also may be mentioned across different types of scriptures. There may be a variety of scriptures. Now, which type of scripture, which type of Shastra is Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is Yoga Shastra. Supanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade. This book which contains the Samvad between Shri Krishna and Arjuna. Samvad means conversation. This book which contains the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, it is Yoga Shastra. It is that book, that Shastra, that scripture which helps an individual unite with Krishna. It is that book which takes a person closer to Krishna. Right? And an interesting thing to note is that at the end of every chapter name of Bhagavad Gita, the term yoga is there as a suffix. For example, the first chapter is Arjuna Vishad Yoga. Second chapter is, anyone knows? Sankhya Yoga. Third chapter is Karma Yoga. Fourth chapter is Jnana Karma Sannyas Yoga. In the fourth chapter, we are discussing fourth chapter, right? So in the fourth chapter, there is Jnana, there is Karma, there is Sannyas, and there is Yoga. All four are there. So, now somebody might ask, first chapter is entitled Arjuna Vishad Yoga. Vishad means lamentation. Vishad means misery. Vishad means confusion. How can confusion be yoga? How can confusion take an individual closer to Krishna? So, the answer is that it is possible. It is possible for a confusion to take someone closer to Krishna, because the confusion which has been talked about in the first chapter, it is not an ordinary confusion. It is the confusion of a person of the caliber of Arjuna. Arjuna, his mindset was not ordinary. His mindset was so high that even many of the moralists of this day and age, they'll not be on that level. They'll not be on that level. Arjuna, although apparently his confusion was material, it might seem that Arjun's confusion, Arjun's problem is relating to this world, to this material world, but no. It had the ability of taking someone closer to Krishna. Therefore it is said that if there's some misery, if there's some confusion, which is pushing a living entity closer to Krishna, that should be considered spiritual, even if it is apparently material, even if it is apparently relating to this world. Simple example from Srimad Bhagavatam, there's mention of prayers of Queen Kunti. Queen Kunti, she's praying, Vipadaha santuta shashvat tatra tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yat syad Apunarbhava darshanam. Kunti saying, oh Krishna, let there be calamities. Let there be problems. Let there be miseries. Let there be suffering. Let there be pain. Why? Because when such pain, when such sufferings come to us, what happens? You are around. You are there to help us out. You are there to take care of us. When the things become easy going, when life becomes sorted, you go away back to your place and we don't get to see you. So, to help with these external comforts, it's better to have miseries, it's better to have calamities, because by doing so, we get to remember you. So this was Queen Kunti's level, just imagine, totally indifferent to personal comforts, totally indifferent to external circumstances. Her only botheration is, her only concern is whether I'm able to remember Krishna. So such calamities she's asking for. And such calamities, they are not spiritual. Such calamities are worshipable. We should worship such sufferings, such calamities, such confusions. So in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna puts forward 4 arguments or 4 confusions in front of Krishna. And the 5th argument comes in the 2nd chapter. Total of 5 arguments given by Arjuna. And guess what? At the end, after putting forward these 5 confusions, these 5 arguments, one of the most important incidents in the history of human race took place. One of the most important incidents in the history of humanity took place. What was that incident? The incident was that Arjuna surrendered to Krishna. Arjuna, he had taken shelter of Krishna. Arjuna sought guidance of Krishna. If that would not have happened, we would not be having the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita today with us. We would not be sitting here discussing Bhagavad Gita, right? So, this is what happened. And Arjuna, he is a person of such high character that he is saying, oh Krishna, this war will bring about so much killing. And as a result, I lose my relatives. How can I enjoy without my relatives? How can I enjoy without my extended family? Nowadays, people are happy if extended family forgets them, if they don't care about them. Why? Because people want to have all the properties in their name. People want to have all the enjoyment by themselves. What to talk of extended family? Sometimes people try to run away even from the immediate family, right? Brother, sister, this, that, fighting. So, Arjuna, he's saying, Na cha shreyonupashyami hatva swajanam ahave. Hatva means killing. This killing of swajan, this killing of my very own relatives, I don't see how this will bring about any shreya, any good to me. I'll not be able to happily enjoy all the luxuries, all the comforts, all the kingdom that I'll be winning at the end of this war. And Arjuna is saying that these guys who are standing in front of me on the Kaurava side, many of them, they were aggressors. If not many, at least some. They did injustice to the Pandavas. They mistreated the Pandavas. So Arjuna is saying, I know that they are aggressors. They were unfair in their dealings. And hence, they are punishable. Some scriptures, they talk about killing of aggressors. Those scriptures which say that killing of aggressor is free from reaction. If you kill an aggressor, that does not produce any reaction. That scripture is a low class scripture. That is not such a good scripture. But high class scriptures, the Dharma Shastras, they will say that yes, aggressor has made a mistake, but if you kill the aggressor, you will incur some sin. There will be some reaction. Don't think that you will be free from reaction. So Arjuna knew this. Just imagine the level of knowledge of Arjuna. Arjuna is saying, if I kill them, I'll get reaction. Even if I forget about enjoying the kingdom by myself, there will be reaction. So Arjuna is on that level, He knows a lot of Shastra. And Arjuna is saying, better than, therefore, O Krishna, better than engaging in this fight, what should I do? I should go, reside in the forest and start begging. It's better if I renounce everything. Just imagine, Many or most of us sitting over here, we cannot do that. And we people are not even kings. Arjuna, in spite of being a king, belonging to a Kshatriya family, a kingly family, he is saying, I am ready to become detached. This was the humility of Arjuna. This was the renunciation of Arjuna. This was the character of Arjuna. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada writes in the last verse of the first chapter. How many verses are there in first chapter? Anyone knows? 46, I think. So in the purport of the very last verse, Srila Prabhupada writes that such a soft-hearted person like Arjuna is fit to receive transcendental knowledge. So Arjuna was soft-hearted, although he was chastised by Krishna in the second chapter. Krishna is telling him off. Krishna is saying, oh Arjuna, you are not so intelligent. Krishna chastises him in an indirect way. Why? Because sometimes when things are spoken indirectly, they have a bigger impact. They have a greater impact. Even for glorification, not only for chastisement, even if we speak about glorification, let's say, if I tell someone, oh Mr. XYZ, or oh Mrs. XYZ, you are very beautiful. That's okay. That's a good glorification. But a better way to say that can be, no one is as beautiful as you. Right? That sounds slightly better. Similarly, Krishna could have said, oh Arjuna, you are a stupid fellow. But no, Krishna is saying, oh Arjuna, the way you are talking, intelligent people don't speak like that. So Arjuna, to absorb such a statement for a Kshatriya, it's heavy. So yes, so Krishna did that on purpose. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that, Arjuna, your problem is that you are thinking about those things which are not fit to be thought about. You are contemplating upon those things which are not to be contemplated upon. So therefore, as a solution, you should do two things. What are those two things? One is, Krishna ends many verses in second chapter with this statement, Na tvam shochitum arahasi. Two things. One, you should stop thinking about those things which are not fit to be thought about. And second, you should start thinking about those things which are fit to be thought about. So basically, stop taking into consideration the material things and start thinking in spiritual terms. Don't be a materialist, oh Arjuna. Everyone in the world is a materialist. If you will also be, in spite of being my friend, my devotee, if you also will be a materialist, then that is not a good idea. A materialist is someone who lives as if matter is all that matters. Right? A materialist is someone who lives as if matter is all that matters. A spiritualist lives for those matters which matter more than the matter. That's not mine, has to run from somewhere. So, a materialist lives as if matter is everything, as if matter is all that matters. And a spiritualist lives for those matters which are more important, which matter more than the matter. So Krishna is telling, Arjuna, you need to rise above the mundane plane. You need to come to the spiritual plane. You are speaking as if you are a big jnani. You are very knowledgeable. So there are two types of people. One is called jnani, one is called karmi. Jnani means those who give emphasis on knowledge. Karmis are those who emphasize on work. So, since time immemorial, there has been a conflict between these two parties. The Jnanis, they criticize the Karmis that you people are sense enjoyers. You go out to work in the material world, in the outside world. You give the excuse that you have to maintain your body, you have to maintain your family. But The end result is you end up engaging in sense gratification. The end result is you end up indulging in sense enjoyment. So this is not so good. And karmis, they criticize the jnanis as you people simply sit, eat and sleep. You are good for nothing. You only philosophize. Arey bhai, before you go out and philosophize, first achieve something. First become an achiever, then become a philosopher. Right? This is their argument. So, the wonderful thing about Bhagavad Gita is that it resolves all such conflicts. Bhagavad Gita resolves all such confusions. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita is revered, is honored by people from all parts of the globe. This is revered by all types of scholars, Bhagavad Gita did something which many or most of the literatures could not do earlier. So, yes. So, how does Krishna go on to resolve these two things, this confusion between work and knowledge? So, Krishna is saying that there is no confusion between work and knowledge because you cannot work without knowledge. It's not possible to work without knowledge. Let's say somebody has knowledge, but they don't work. Right? Somebody spent time cultivating knowledge. Somebody gave their time and energy assimilating knowledge, but they don't work based on that. Then that goes to show that all of their endeavor was a waste of time. They simply wasted time in sitting in classes, by reading scripture. It was all nothing but a waste of time. And if somebody, for example, let's say, if I read Bhagavad Gita 2.13, Krishna is saying, you are not this body, you are spirit soul. Right? This is a theoretical statement. It is a good piece of information. But if we don't use this information, then this information will not become realization. Until unless we apply this information in the practical world, it will not bring about realizations. It will simply remain a theoretical statement. So how does information transform into realization? When we go out and work. So working is essential. Simply sitting idle is not the solution. Simple example, let's say a student, he is studying in school. There are two types of classes. One is called theory class, the other one is called the practical lessons. So if somebody simply goes and sits in the theory lessons and does not attend the laboratory class, what will happen? His sitting in the theory class is nothing but a waste of time. Right? Why did you attend those classes in the first place? And if somebody goes straight to the laboratory, what he'll do? He'll create a big mess, right? Because that fellow skipped the theory classes. Shri Shri Radha Gokulanand ki, Shri Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki. Because that fellow skipped the theory classes, he doesn't know how to work in the laboratory. So this is something what Krishna is trying to tell, that both are important, both are equally important. And the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita talks about this. It talks about work, it talks about jnana. And the whole summary of Gita has been presented in second chapter. Therefore, the title of this chapter is Contents of Gita Summarized. All the chapters from 3 to 18 have been summarized in chapter 2. And at the end of chapter 2, in the beginning of chapter 3, Arjuna's confusion still remained. Arjuna was not enlightened. Arjuna was still confused. Therefore, he goes on to ask Krishna in the beginning of third chapter. Again he says, Krishna, again I'm asking, should I work or not work? Now why did this happen? Krishna spoke an entire chapter. Why did this happen? Because Krishna's speaking of second chapter was like a heavy pouring of knowledge. It was like waterfall. Anyone here ever seen a waterfall in their life? Okay. So, what happens when waterfall is there? The force of water is really high. If somebody wants to collect water in a bowl, if that fellow takes bowl in that waterfall and brings the bowl back, what will happen? Will the bowl have any water? No. Very little bit of water. Hardly any water. Why? Because the force was so high that the bowl could not retain it. Similarly, Krishna's, speaking of second chapter, it was so intense, it was so fast paced that Arjuna could hardly retain anything. So therefore, Krishna had to again start Bhagavad Gita in chapter 3. So chapter 3 is in one sense the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna starts at a slower pace this time. Krishna said, okay, what do you do? So you understand, what you need to do is understand that I am the Yajna Purush, I am the master of all sacrifices, and what you do is make a sacrifice for me, offer something to me. Now this conception of sacrifice is very interesting. Why sacrifice needs to be done? Because let's say I have some possessions. So if I am in ignorance, I'll think that these possessions belong to me. I'll think that this bag belongs to me. I'll think that this mobile phone belongs to me. This laptop belongs to me. My bank balance belongs to me. This is ignorance. Everything belongs to Krishna. Right? Krishna is the master of everything. But fine, no problem. If you have this ignorance for the time being, that's fine. Carry on with this ignorance. And assuming all those things belong to you, make a small offering. Offer a small portion of those possessions to Krishna. By that, what will happen? We will purify that ignorance within us. Because when we make a sacrifice, we are sacrificing our attachment. We are offering a portion of our attachment. And what do attachments do? Attachments bring about misery. Right? Why do all the miseries exist in this world? Because we are attached. So when we are offering attachment, we are also offering misery. So therefore, those who regularly indulge in making sacrifices, their miseries reduce. They experience less number of miseries in life. And this process of offering regular sacrifices, what it does, it purifies the consciousness, it relieves a person from ignorance. And Krishna, he says that this sacrifice is so important that even the perfected beings indulge in this. 18th chapter, Krishna is saying, Yajna, Dana, Tapaha. These things are not to be given up even by the exalted personalities. In the 3rd chapter, Krishna gives examples of 2 personalities. One is his own example, and the second one is, who's the second personality in Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter? Janak Maharaj. So Krishna is saying, Janaka, he is self-realized. He does not need to perform any sacrifice because he is exalted. He is already on that transcendental platform. But still, he does so. He still performs sacrifice, or when he was on the planet, he performed those sacrifices because he wanted to set a system in the world. He wanted to establish the right thing. If Janaka would not have done that, people, they would have copied him saying that our king is not doing so. Why should I do it? People would not see that Janaka is qualified. Janaka is self-realized. People, in spite of being unqualified, they stop doing sacrifices. Therefore, Krishna speaks that verse, that famous verse. Yad yadacharati shreshta sattadevetaro jana sayar pramadam kurte lokas tadanu vartate. The standard which are set by the leaders, the common people follow. So, Krishna is telling that if leaders like Janak Maharaj do not set this system of sacrifice, the common people, they will start running away from their responsibilities. Running away from responsibilities is not the way to get purified. Just like if somebody spends a day in a dirty place, as a result, what will happen? They will accumulate some dirt on their body to get rid of that dirt, that person will have to come back to their house and take a shower, take a bath. But in the process of that taking shower, what they'll have to do, they'll have to apply another layer of dirt, which is called soap. That is essential, that is necessary to remove the original layer of dirt. If the new layer is not applied, the original layer cannot come off. Similarly, when we want to get purified, running away from responsibilities is not the solution. Running away from responsibilities is not the way. The right way is to execute sacrifices while executing those responsibilities, while indulging in those responsibilities. So, and one more thing which we need to keep in mind is these sacrifices, they should be performed as per scriptures. They should not be performed as per our mental speculation. A nice example comes in 89th chapter of Krishna book. Vrikasur, this guy wanted to please Lord Shiva. And what he thought, I'll offer my flesh in the fire to please Lord Shiva. By this, Lord Shiva will be pleased quickly. He'll come in front of me faster. But that was a stupid idea. That is not recommended in the Shastra. That is not the way to worship Lord Shiva. Alright, so this is something, this is a sacrifice. He is sacrificing his bodily flesh, but that is not recommended. Similarly, right now, January is going on around October, November time, when we celebrate this month of Kartik in the ISKCON world. In all ISKCON temples, there are some devotees, who start taking up different types of vows and practices, sankalpas. So one very common sankalpa is people give up sweets. People stop taking sweets. And this is okay, but there are better things which can be done, Why? Because sweets, if by giving up sweets, we would be going back to Godhead, then all the diabetic patients, they would be sitting in the spiritual world. Right? So, the idea behind sacrifice, the idea behind austerity, the idea behind penance is we should be able to do something extra. That's the idea behind giving up attachment. If we are giving up attachment, that means we should have more time to do more important things. Right? So that's the idea behind sacrifice. One word for sacrifice or austerity or penance is extra. Are we able to do some extra spiritual practices? So that is sacrifice. And then comes 4th chapter. So if somebody will perform sacrifice for a good amount of time, what will happen? That guy will realize, Arey bhai, I have been doing this since so many days. Since past such and such time I have been doing this sacrifice. For whom am I doing it? To who? To which personality are all these offerings going to? So then that person will develop a curiosity to cultivate jnana, to know about Krishna. And that's the 4th chapter. Krishna is speaking about his transcendental nature. Krishna is saying, Janma karma chame divyam evam yaveti tattvataha. Krishna is saying, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata paritranaya sadhunam vina. Like that, many verses explaining his transcendental nature. So 4th chapter is knowledge plus sacrifice. Both the things are there. And knowledge is extremely important. So much so that the 37th verse of this chapter says, Yathai dhamsi samidva agnir bhasmasat kurute arjuna jnanagni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute yatha. The translation says, as a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. So cultivating jnana, cultivating knowledge is very important, Yes. And now comes today's verse. Can someone scroll to Sanskrit? No, Sanskrit. Yeah. So there are 2 words in the first line, karma and akarma. Kim karma, kim akarmeti. So in the previous verse, Bhagavad Gita 4.15, Krishna, after speaking about his nature, he says, all the liberated souls in ancient times, O Arjuna, acted with this understanding of my nature. Therefore, what you should do? You should perform your karma, you should perform your action following in their example. So you should follow the example of these exalted personalities and do karma according to the way, the standards which they have set. So now the natural question comes, what is karma? So here Krishna is saying that, oh Arjuna, now I'll explain to you what is karma and what is akarma. What is action and what is inaction. Karma here is referring to any activity. It might be good, it might be bad. Now what are good activities, what are bad activities? That will be discussed in the next shloka, 4.17. We are not discussing that today. So important thing is, there are two categories according to this verse. One is called karma and the other one is akarma. Now akarma has been used in two ways in the pages of Bhagavad Gita. One akarma is the famous akarma. The karma which is called bhakti. That activity which does not produce any reaction, which does not produce any fruitive result, or devotional service, or bhakti. That is akarma. Another akarma is inactivity, when a person runs away from responsibilities, when a person runs away from activity. That type of activity has been discouraged in the pages of Bhagavad Gita. Simple reference, Bhagavad Gita 2.47. Karmanyevadikaraste. How many of you know this verse? That is a famous verse. Every Hindu should be knowing this. If you do not know this verse, this goes to show that you have never opened a copy of Bhagavad Gita. So please go back home and open a copy of Bhagavad Gita. So, Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu gadachana ma karma phala heturbhur ma te sangastva akarmani. Akarmani. So here Krishna is criticizing, oh Arjuna, never become attached to not doing your duty. You should always do your duty. Never become attached to inactivity. I remember once I was at my university and there was a tough competition for placements, for job interviews. So I was competing with computer science students. My competitors, they were world rank 41, world rank 42. They were not just North India toppers. They were not just country toppers. They were world toppers. So sometimes discouragement comes, So I thought, oh, okay, enough, I don't want to sit for placements only. So my brother was trying to uplift me. And when he ran out of ideas, he quoted this shloka, Bhagavad Gita 2.47. He said, oh, Ananta, you need to remember, Krishna is saying, never become attached to not doing your duty. Inactivity, it is unhealthy. Inactivity is so unhealthy that Srila Prabhupada, he spoke in one of his lectures that it is better to act in a mischievous way than to sit idly. It is better to act in a wicked way than to sit and do nothing. It's not that Srila Prabhupada is trying to encourage the mischievous behavior. No. Srila Prabhupada is not trying to encourage the living entities to act in a wicked way. No, not at all. What Srila Prabhupada is trying to say is, firstly, inaction or inactivity is impractical. That is not possible. And second, it is degrading. Krishna says in 3rd chapter, Na hi kaschit chanamapi jatu tishthatya karma krit. That if somebody thinks that I'll sit down and I'll have some spiritual thoughts, let's meditate on some spiritual subject matters, let's do nothing. Because whenever I do something, there's some fight, there's some misery, there's some problem. So let's sit idly for some time. So Krishna is saying, firstly, that's not possible. And second, that is quite degrading. So don't even think about it. When somebody is acting, even if it's in a mischievous way, 3 things happen. 3 things. First, the person's senses become engaged. The person is engaged in some way or the other. Second, the person faces consequences. There's some result. Either the result will be bad or good, but there will be some consequence, some reaction. And third, the person will learn through experience. The person will take responsibility of those outcomes. So this is the benefit of doing something. So if we ever think about giving up our responsibilities, enough is enough. I have done so much for my family, not a single thank you. I'm going to ISKCON Bhaktivedanta Manor. Don't expect me to return back. No, that's not ideal, So, yeah. And if somebody is, idle, then, sorry, I'm getting a phone call. Yeah, if somebody is idle, then this will breed laziness, this will breed illusion, This will breed, person externally might be sitting doing nothing, but internally he'll be contemplating, okay, when can I engage in this form of enjoyment, when can I engage in that form of enjoyment. So this is not so healthy. To give you an example, if a child is mischievous, naughty, two things. Firstly, at least the child is alive, at least he's living, at least he's breathing. And secondly, even if he is misbehaving, his actions can be redirected. His activities can be transformed, right? But if some fellow, he's sitting, he is not wanting to do anything. So there's no point of transformation, there's no point of positive engagement, right? So therefore, it's always better to engage in some activity rather than sitting and doing nothing in the name of spirituality. Now, what all things are worth, are befitting, what all things are worthy of our actions, what all things are fit to be done, what all things are not fit to be done, that will be talked about in tomorrow's class. So just like you all have turned up today, please also show up tomorrow. Yeah, that was mostly it from me. Any comments, questions, feedback, criticism? Yes, Prabhuji, Vinesh Prabhu, my good friend. I guess.
Thank you for the amazing class and your reflections on this verse, actually. You were talking about how this verse and Srila Prabhupada talks about how, how knowledge is really, really important, but how knowledge, through the cyclic succession and from Krishna will give the person intelligence to, really, really progress. You also reflected on that, how Srila Prabhupada ends that chapter, and the first chapter, I think you mentioned, and you said, such a soft-hearted person, such as Arjun, is, able to receive this knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So can you share some ideas of how to become soft-hearted so we can be recipients of this knowledge?
How to become soft-hearted? Generally, we people become hard-hearted because we follow our mind. When we like to do something, we do it. When we don't like to do it, when we don't feel like doing it, we don't do it. So when we are driven by the mind, when we are driven by the emotions, when we are driven by feelings, that makes a person hard-hearted. That makes a person think about his own feelings and makes that fellow indifferent to the feelings of others, right? So what I try to follow personally is not be driven by feelings and be driven by duty, be driven by purpose. And this is what Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatnika buddhir ekeha kurunandana. O Arjuna, have a goal and become committed to that goal. Try to be driven by that goal. Don't try to be driven by feelings. Those who are driven by feelings, they don't have a goal in mind. They don't have a goal in life. And therefore, they are always distracted. They are always frustrated. And if you ask them, these people who are driven by feelings, if you ask them, hey, why don't you have a goal in mind? Why don't you have a purpose? Why are you not committed to a purpose? They'll reply, we don't have a purpose because we want to eat, drink, and be merry. We want to have fun. We don't want to become bound. If I have a purpose, I'll become bound. So I want to have a great time. And it's true. Those who are driven by feelings, they may have a great time. But those who are driven by purpose, they have a great life. Those who are driven by feelings, they may know how to look cool. Those who are driven by purpose, they know how to be cool. Those who are driven by feelings, they chase fleeting pleasures. Those who are driven by purpose, they build lasting legacies. So, those who are driven by feelings, they get easily carried away by the ups and downs of life. They think that ups and downs are life. No, ups and downs are not life. Ups and downs are part of life. A nice example somebody gave to me that after 2007 Cricket World Cup, how many of you like cricket? Yeah? Okay, quite a few. So after 2007 Cricket World Cup, Adam Gilchrist, he was interviewed. And the interviewer asked, Mr. Gilchrist, do you have any plans for retirement? Are you planning to retire from the cricket world? For those of you who don't know, 2007 Cricket World Cup was won by Australia, and Adam Gilchrist was an Australian cricketer. So this question was asked because that's what everyone does. Everyone tries to end their career on a high note. Everyone tries to retire after winning some World Cup, winning some tournament, winning some Champions Trophy, winning some league. Simple example, after 2024 T20 World Cup. 2024 T20 World Cup was won by India. And on the day of finale, 3 Indian legends signed their resignation. Which 3? Virat Kohli, Ravindra Jadeja and Rohit Sharma. Why? Because this is what everyone does. Everyone tries to end their career on a high note. Why? Because if they do so, they'll be remembered for life as someone who has done something great for the country. So this interviewer with the same mindset inquired from Gilchrist that, do you have any plans for retirement? And everybody expected a yes. But Gilchrist gave a response which was totally unexpected. He said, Adam Gilchrist doesn't make a decision when it's too high or too low. Adam Gilchrist doesn't make a decision when it's too high or too low. He knew that success or failure is not my career. Success or failure